Dr. Jenna Morrison stood confidently in front of the assembled military brass, her eyes twinkling with a mix of excitement and mischief. The room was filled with high-ranking officers, including the stern General Andrews, who was known for his no-nonsense approach. "Dr. Morrison, I hope you have something substantial for us," General Andrews said, his voice heavy with skepticism. "We are in a desperate situation, and we can't afford to waste time." "Oh, I assure you, General, this is quite substantial," Jenna replied with a grin. She unveiled a strange contraption that looked like a hybrid between a rubber chicken, a slingshot, and a colorful balloon. The officers exchanged bewildered glances and a few snickers. "This," Jenna began, holding up the bizarre device, "is the answer to our alien problem." The room erupted in laughter. "You're joking, right?" Colonel Davis asked, struggling to keep a straight face. "No joke," Jenna said firmly. "This device emits a specific frequency that disrupts the neurological functions of the aliens. It might look silly, but it's highly effective." "How can something that ridiculous be effective?" Major Harris questioned, his brow furrowed in disbelief. "Simple," Jenna replied. "The aliens' brains are wired differently from ours. Traditional weapons haven't been as effective because we're not targeting their weaknesses. This device targets their sensory systems, causing disorientation and panic." General Andrews, still dubious but desperate for solutions, sighed. "All right, Dr. Morrison, we'll give it a trial. Lieutenant Dunn will oversee the field test." Lieutenant Marcus Dunn, a young but seasoned officer known for his level-headedness, stepped forward. "I'll do my best, sir," he said, though his expression mirrored the skepticism of his peers. Jenna handed the device to Marcus. "Trust me," she said, her eyes earnest. "This will work." In the barren wasteland where the alien scouting party was spotted, Marcus and his team prepared for the encounter. The aliens, tall and menacing with their luminescent skin and advanced weaponry, were approaching fast. "Ready the chicken thing," one of the soldiers muttered, earning a few nervous chuckles. Marcus aimed the device, his heart pounding. As the aliens came within range, he activated it. A high-pitched noise, almost comical in its absurdity, filled the air. The aliens stopped abruptly, their movements becoming erratic and uncoordinated. "They're retreating!" a soldier shouted in amazement. Marcus watched in awe as the aliens stumbled back, clearly disoriented. The team cheered, the absurdity of the situation giving way to the thrill of victory. Back at the base, the mood was drastically different. The once skeptical officers were now eager to hear Jenna's explanation. "How did you know this would work?" General Andrews asked, his tone a mix of respect and curiosity. "I studied the aliens' physiology and discovered that their sensory systems are highly sensitive to specific sound frequencies," Jenna explained. "The design of the device might seem silly, but it's the only way to produce the exact frequency needed." The room fell silent, the gravity of Jenna's words sinking in. The absurd weapon had proven to be their best hope against the alien threat. Lieutenant Marcus Dunn couldn't believe what he had witnessed. The device, despite its ridiculous appearance, had worked perfectly. As he returned to the base, he couldn't shake off the image of the retreating aliens, their confusion and disorientation palpable. "Lieutenant Dunn," General Andrews called as Marcus entered the briefing room. "Report." Marcus stood at attention. "Sir, the device worked as Dr. Morrison predicted. The aliens were completely disoriented and retreated within minutes." General Andrews nodded thoughtfully. "Very well. We need to understand this weapon better. Dr. Morrison, you're up." Jenna stepped forward, her enthusiasm undimmed by the skepticism she had faced earlier. "As I mentioned before, the device emits a frequency that disrupts the aliens' neurological functions. Their brains are wired to process sensory information differently, and this frequency essentially scrambles their senses." Colonel Davis interjected, "But why does it have to look so absurd?" Jenna smiled. "The design is a result of necessity. The specific materials and shapes are what produce the needed frequency. It's not about how it looks, it's about how it works." Despite their lingering doubts, the officers couldn't deny the device's effectiveness. General Andrews decided to deploy it on a larger scale. "Lieutenant Dunn, prepare your team for another mission. This time, we'll take on a larger alien force." Marcus nodded. "Yes, sir." In the days leading up to the mission, Marcus and his team trained rigorously with the new weapon. The soldiers, Initially skeptical, gradually grew more confident as they saw its effects during practice sessions. The once laughable device was now their primary tool for survival. On the day of the mission, the team set out to intercept a larger alien patrol. Tension hung in the air as they waited in their concealed positions. The alien forces approached, their advanced weaponry gleaming under the harsh sunlight. "Get ready," Marcus whispered, gripping the device tightly. As the aliens drew closer, Marcus activated the weapon. The familiar high-pitched noise filled the air, and once again, the aliens faltered. Their formation broke, and they began to stumble, their movements erratic and uncoordinated. "It's working!" one of the soldiers exclaimed. The team moved swiftly, taking advantage of the aliens' confusion to push them back. The aliens, unable to cope with the sensory overload, retreated once more. Returning to the base, the team was met with a mix of relief and triumph. General Andrews, visibly impressed, gathered the officers and soldiers for a debrief. "Dr. Morrison, your device has proven invaluable," he admitted, "but we need to understand more about its long-term effects and potential improvements." Jenna nodded. "I agree, General. We should continue studying the aliens' physiology and refine the device accordingly." As the meeting adjourned, Marcus approached Jenna. "I have to admit I was skeptical at first, but you've proven us all wrong. Thank you." Jenna smiled warmly. "It's not about being right or wrong, Lieutenant. It's about finding solutions, and we still have a lot of work to do." With the initial success behind them, the team knew that the real challenge was just beginning. They had a powerful weapon, but the war was far from over. Back at the base, Dr. Jenna Morrison's lab buzzed with activity. Scientists and engineers worked tirelessly to understand and refine the absurd yet effective weapon. Jenna herself was at the center of it all, juggling data, experiments, and constant questions from her team. Lieutenant Marcus Dunn walked in, still processing the success of their latest mission. "Dr. Morrison, how's it going?" he asked, observing the organized chaos around him. "Busy but productive," Jenna replied, looking up from her notes. "We're learning more about the aliens' physiology every day. Turns out their sensory systems are even more complex than we thought." Marcus nodded. "So what makes this device so effective? Why do the aliens react so strongly?" Jenna led Marcus to a large screen displaying detailed diagrams of alien brain scans. "See these areas?" she pointed out. "These are their sensory processing centers. The frequency our device emits creates a resonance that disrupts their neural activity. Essentially, it overloads their senses, causing confusion and disorientation." "Why didn't traditional weapons work as well?" Marcus asked. "Because they target physical weaknesses, not neurological ones," Jenna explained. "The aliens have advanced shielding and regenerative capabilities that make them resilient to most physical attacks, but their brains are their Achilles heel." As they talked, General Andrews entered the lab. "Dr. Morrison, Lieutenant Dunn," he greeted them. "Any progress?" "Yes, General," Jenna replied. "We're refining the device to make it more efficient and easier to use in the field. We're also working on a larger version for mass deployment." "Good," Andrews said. "We'll need every advantage we can get. The aliens are regrouping, and our intelligence indicates a major offensive soon." Marcus felt a pang of apprehension. "How soon are we talking?" "Within the week," Andrews replied grimly. "We need to be ready." The days that followed were a whirlwind of preparation. Marcus and his team trained intensively, familiarizing themselves with the improved devices. The mood was a mix of determination and nervous energy, everyone keenly aware of the impending battle. On the eve of the attack, Marcus found himself on the training grounds, watching his team run through drills. Jenna joined him, a thoughtful expression on her face. "Feeling ready?" she asked. "As ready as we can be," Marcus replied. "Thanks to you and your team, we have a real shot at this." Jenna smiled faintly. "It's a team effort, Marcus. We're all in this together." The next morning, the base was a hive of activity. Soldiers geared up, vehicles were loaded, and the air was thick with anticipation. Marcus and his team boarded their transport, their absurd weapons at the ready. As they approached the battlefield, the sight was both awe-inspiring and terrifying. The alien forces were vast, their formations precise and menacing. Marcus took a deep breath, steeling himself for the fight ahead. "Remember the plan!" he called out to his team. "Stay focused, stick together, and trust the device." The first wave of aliens advanced, their weapons blazing. Marcus activated his device, and the high-pitched noise cut through the chaos. The effect was immediate. The aliens faltered, their movements becoming erratic. "Push forward," Marcus shouted, leading the charge. The battle raged on, a chaotic dance of strategy and improvisation. Despite the overwhelming odds, Marcus and his team held their ground, the absurd weapons proving their worth time and again. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, the alien forces began to retreat. Cheers erupted from the human ranks, a wave of relief and triumph washing over them. Back at the base, the mood was jubilant. General Andrews addressed the troops, his stern demeanor softened by pride. "Today, we showed the enemy that humanity is not to be underestimated. Thanks to the ingenuity of Dr. Morrison and the bravery of our soldiers, we have won a significant victory." As the cheers died down, Marcus approached Jenna, a weary but genuine smile on his face. "We did it." Jenna nodded, her eyes shining with both exhaustion and elation. "Yes, we did, but the war isn't over yet." Marcus nodded, understanding the unspoken resolve. They had made great strides, but there was still much to be done. The base buzzed with the afterglow of victory, but there was no time to rest. The alien threat remained, and everyone knew it. Dr. Jenna Morrison and her team were already back in the lab, fine-tuning the device that had turned the tide of battle. Lieutenant Marcus Dunn, now a respected figure among the troops, walked into the lab. He found Jenna poring over data, her eyes bloodshot but determined. "Jenna?" Marcus called softly, not wanting to startle her. "How's it going?" Jenna looked up, a tired smile on her face. "We're making progress. The device worked better than expected, but we need to make it more efficient. The aliens will adapt, and we need to stay ahead." Marcus nodded, pulling up a chair. "What do you need from us?" "More field data," Jenna replied. "Every encounter helps us refine the frequency and delivery method. We're also working on a new prototype that can cover a larger area. If this works, we can disrupt their entire communication network." General Andrews entered the lab, his presence commanding immediate attention. "Dr. Morrison, Lieutenant Dunn," he greeted. "We have intel that the aliens are regrouping for a major assault. We need that new prototype ready as soon as possible." "We're on it, General," Jenna assured him. "But we'll need more time and resources." "You'll have everything you need," Andrews said firmly. "We can't afford to fail." The following days were a blur of preparation and anticipation. Marcus and his team trained with the new prototypes, getting accustomed to their nuances. The tension was palpable, but so was the sense of determination. On the day of the alien offensive, the base was a fortress of readiness. Every soldier knew their role, and the new prototypes were distributed among the troops. Marcus stood with his team, feeling a mix of anxiety and resolve. "All right, team," Marcus said, his voice steady. "This is it. We've trained for this, and we know these devices work. Stick to the plan, and we'll get through this." As the alien forces approached, the sky filled with their ominous ships. The ground trembled under the weight of their march. Marcus took a deep breath and activated the new prototype. The device emitted a low hum, followed by a wave of sound that spread across the battlefield. The effect was immediate and astonishing. The aliens staggered, their communication disrupted. They turned on each other in confusion, their formations crumbling. "Push forward," Marcus commanded, leading the charge. The human forces advanced, taking full advantage of the chaos. The new prototypes proved even more effective than the initial devices, covering larger areas and causing greater disarray among the aliens. As the battle raged on, Marcus and his team found themselves deep in the heart of the alien forces. The fighting was fierce, but the absurd weapons continued to turn the tide. Finally, the alien command ship began to retreat, signaling a full withdrawal. Cheers erupted from the human ranks as the aliens fell back. The victory was decisive, and the morale boost was immeasurable. Back at the base, General Andrews addressed the troops once more. "Today, we have not only defended our home, but struck a decisive blow against our enemy. This victory is a testament to human ingenuity and bravery. Dr. Morrison, Lieutenant Dunn, and every soldier here played a crucial role." As the applause died down, Marcus found Jenna in the crowd. "You did it," he said, clapping her on the shoulder. We did it, Jenna corrected, her smile genuine despite her exhaustion. But the fight isn't over. We need to keep improving, keep adapting. Marcus nodded. We'll be ready. Well, the war continued, but the tide had turned. Humanity, armed with the most absurd weapon ever conceived, had found a way to fight back. Each battle brought new challenges, but also new innovations and victories. Dr. Jenna Morrison and Lieutenant Marcus Dunn became symbols of human resilience and ingenuity. Their partnership, born of skepticism and necessity, became a beacon of hope in humanity's darkest hour. As they prepared for the battles ahead, one thing was clear. Sometimes, the most ridiculous ideas can save the world. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this epic adventure, please make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to our channel for more exciting sci-fi stories. Don't forget to leave a comment below with your thoughts and theories. We love hearing from you. Your support means the world to us, and it helps us keep creating amazing content. Thanks again, and stay tuned for more incredible journeys through the stars.